Hey yo, what is up YouTube, Ginno here. Today we're going to be talking about the best BTS albums. This is going to be a fairly longish video, but I hope you stick around. If you enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, that sort of thing. This is in lead up to BTS's new release. I'm not sure yet whether it's going to be like a mini album. I'm pretty sure this is just going to be a repackaged version of Tear, which I'm absolutely fine with. I don't want them rushing out a new project, but yeah, we're going to be talking about the best albums. So I'd like to lead off with saying this is my opinion, completely opinionated. Leave yours in the comments if you have a list as well. I'm not including any of their Japanese releases. This is just EPs and their full studio album. So no repackaged, no Japanese albums. So yeah, let's get into this. So at number 9 and the bottom of my list is BTS's first ever release, Too Cool for School. This is a very dated project. It came out a while ago and it sounds it. Its production is just so uninteresting. It's very reliant on synths and it's very early days for BTS, so it does sound quite amateurish. Very average title tracks, and Jungkook rapping was not a good decision. Doesn't sound very good. The flows were all awkward. Overall, the whole project it is cheap and it's amateurish, and I understand that because that is the phase BTS were at the time. But yeah, it's at the bottom of the list. At number 8, it's Oh Are You Late 2. This was their follow-up project. It's not overall that much better, but the first Cypher number 1, this shows BTS's potential because it shows off how good their rap line is. Paldo Gangsan is a fun track. It's light-hearted, interesting, but they're not quite there. They haven't found their feet. They're not finding what they should be doing in the future just yet. And Attack on Bangtan is iconic. But once again, it's not actually that good a track. Songs like Coffee are quite slow and unimaginative, and they just show BTS haven't quite found their feet yet. And once again, the production and the lyricism is all round a little bit weak. So at number 7, it's School Love Affair. This is where BTS are sort of finding their way in the route, and they're certainly focusing on having rap tracks and then more sort of pop hip-hop tracks. You know, they've got Cypher 2 and Spinebreaker, which are big, powerful rap tracks, and they're using more instruments in the instrumentals as opposed to relying on synths and loops. The title track, Boy in Love, is really the first title track I enjoy from BTS, and it's really nicely produced. But once again, it's still quite cheesy, and the lyricism isn't that interesting. So now we're going to make a jump. From 7 to 6 it is a very large leap. At number 6, I have Love Yourself, Her. So this was the prior project to Love Yourself, Tear. It came out last year. This is a very decent album, but it also has some quite low points. I think the sort of middle section of 3 tracks where it goes Best of Me, then Dimple, then Pied Piper, really lets down the album as a whole. DNA is quite bland. It works thematically for the rest of the album. It's just not a very interesting title track, and the production on it is pretty dull. Whereas the intro, Serendipity, is incredible, and the vocals on that from Jimin are stunning. Mic Drop is one of my hands down favourite BTS songs of all time because it really shows off the rap line, and it also balances out the vocal line as well. They don't try and force in some slow down vocal section onto a rap track. They utilise the vocalist as part of the hook, and it sounds brilliant. And then finally we have Go Go, followed by the outro, which, yeah, Mucho Bueno, that sounds great. Production, A1, and yeah, I mean, this is very different to School Love Affair. It's much better, in fact, so there's not really any comparison between the two. So this is sort of the issue between 7 and 6, such a large jump in quality. At number 5, we have Dark and Wild. This is the first BTS album chronologically that I really like. The hip-hop focused tracks sound great. War on Hormone, Cypher 3, Hip Hop File. I can never pronounce that word out loud. And Could You Turn Off Your Cell Phone as well, it is really nice. The production, all of these sound great, and it's proper hip-hop instrumentals rather than relying on these big blary crazy pop synth sounds. They still do have those tracks, you know, Danger and 24/7 Heaven, which are really quite bland and dull, you know, oversaturated instrumentals, and they sound messy and childish, but you know, there's only a couple of them, and so they don't detract from those really good tracks. Overall, a really decent project, and it's also their first studio album. Now we're into the top 4. At number 4, I've decided to go with The Most Beautiful Moments in Life Part 1. So this is the start of their HYYH era for BTS. This was my first BTS album, fun fact, and I love it. It's a lovely intro. I Need You is one of BTS's most iconic tracks, such an important track for them. That middle section of Dope and Boys with Fun is just superb and so light-hearted and lovely. Even something like Converse High, which is cheesy and light-hearted, it's really well composed. When you compare it to stuff that was cheesy and not particularly interesting, like Coffee on some of the prior albums, they were all kind of just lazily composed, whereas Converse High is a lot of fun. It is a short album, but it's concise and thematically well constructed. The pacing is good. The whole organization of it is really, really nice. And of course, we follow on from that onto part 2, which is actually on my 3rd spot. This is a superb mini album filled with gorgeous vocal tracks such as Butterfly, Wally and 52. Then we've got some hip hop tracks like My City and some pop rap tracks like Bapsai. It's so nicely balanced and it's really well spaced. House of Cards shows off how fantastic BTS's vocal line is and also their improvement, because one thing I will say about BTS is certainly when they started, the vocal line, they had decent voices with a lot of potential, but they couldn't hold attention for that long because they weren't really that interesting. Now, by the time we're hitting House of Cards, they've found their feet and it sounds fantastic. Run is actually one of my personal favourite BTS title tracks. I absolutely adore it. The writing and production has improved so much for this mini album and it really is so lovely. The whole storyline of HYYH is perfect and I've always really liked that. For me, this is the start of BTS really experimenting with sounds and themes. So if you like that about BTS, if that's what you like, where they're talking about something or they're making you think, this is the start of it in my opinion. It's also where they finally start utilizing the rap line and vocal line in a really emphatic way, balancing it out on songs. You know, they're finally getting it so that we have, you know, the rappers doing a rap section and they're not just ham-fisting in some vocal parts. It actually sounds like a good song which is nicely organized and constructed. So yeah, I do have a lot to say about that album and I really do like it. But we'll move on to number 2. This is Love Yourself Tear. This is BTS's latest album and it's a superbly composed album filled with absolute banger tracks, but also some really beautiful, subtle, calm tracks. It's so mature, it's filled to the brim with superb instrumentals. It's only really let down by Magic Shop and So What, because they have these really in-your-face blaring chorus EDM hooks, and it's just not interesting, those tracks, and they're let down by that fact. But overall, the whole album is really nicely spaced and organized. The pacing and layering of the album is very nice. You know, no longer does it feel like they have to have this outro and then blah 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 skit, second section and then outro. It doesn't feel like that. The whole thing feels like a fluid project and it's really lovely. Having said that, the intro, Singularity, is the best BTS intro. The vocals delivered by Taeyong are the best off this album and it's absolutely incredible. That neo soul vibe is just wonderful, and this is something I want to hit on now of these top 2 albums. BTS's experimentation and passion really flows through this project. The willingness to try new sounds, adapt to, you know, a world where music is trying to move forward. They don't want to stay in these little ruts of doing the same thing and over. The groups and the artists that will move and be iconic and be seen in the future as great artists are those that experiment. Outro Tear is literally just the rappers showing off how good they are, showing off and utilizing their emotion, their passion, and just their lyrics. A very good track. And definitely makes you feel something. And I do just want to say, The Truth Untold is a masterpiece, and Fake Love is probably the best title track since Blood, Sweat, Tears. Speaking of Blood, Sweat, Tears, at number 1 at the top of my list, my favourite BTS album is Wings. This is true experimentation from top to bottom, from J-Hope's intro to the interlude, which, you know, leads into You Never Walk Alone. Really nicely constructed and thought out. A vibrant but deeply powerful album. It's got this lovely connection to the Booker to Man. You know, the whole lead into this album with those teasers were absolutely stunning and really hyped me up in a really smart way. This is thematically the strongest BTS album, and I think the solo tracks by each member make it unforgettable. whilst the cipher, the fourth cipher, is not the best, I think Blood, Sweat, Tears sort of makes up for it for being the best BTS title track. That stunning R&B EDM blend definitely has the best production off of any BTS song ever. Lie is Jimin's solo track, and that is so good. The incredible vocals, the use of strings instruments, something that is really unheard of in K-pop in general. It's absolutely stunning. The whole album is filled to the brim with passion, well written lyrics, fun pop bangers like Am I Wrong, and you know, in my opinion, this is the best BTS project to date. And something that I really do like about this is they haven't gone back to this sound, and that's great. I don't want BTS to be the group that rely on past successes to do it over and over again, and this is something I have seen with them. They are so willing to experiment, so willing to try something new, and that is superb. Sometimes it doesn't work. Love Yourself Her did not work in my opinion, but it was experimental and it was interesting, and I hope they continue to do that in the future. And it's why, you know, I love BTS, that they're so willing to try different things. So what will Love Yourself answer be? I have no idea. We will find out soon. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed. This has been a lot of fun to film. If you enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe, like, that sort of thing. That'd be awesome. Let me know what your favourite BTS albums are in the comments. And yeah, this is going to be Ginno signing out. See you guys soon.